Wetlands by Caitlin Crowder, Sydney Early, and Neha Mehta. First, here are some general facts about wetlands. First, wetlands are the most biologically diverse ecosystem on the Earth. Wetlands appear on every continent except for Antarctica. They have a U.S. value of $15 trillion, and they will always have still water.
The wetlands biome is a combination of land and water. The land can be mostly underwater for part of a year, or it can be flooded only at certain times. There are 4 different types of wetlands: marshes, swamps, bogs, and fens. Marshes tend to have more saturated soils with plants like grasses, sedges, and rushes. Marshes are the most common type of wetlands. Unlike marshes, swamps have large trees. Many different animals live in the trees and shrubs. Marshes are mainly found in Florida and Australia. Bogs have very acidic water and are low in nutrients. They contain large amounts of decaying plant matter called peat. Bogs are a stage of succession as a lake fills in. They are usually found in colder climates. Unlike bogs, fens receive their water from runoff or groundwater. They are not stages in lake succession and have neutral or basic water. They also have higher nutrient levels, so they are able to support a more diverse community of plants and animals. Wetlands can be found within other biomes, so the weather can vary, although they are usually found in moist and humid areas. Rain arrives in the winter, flooding the area and bringing in more wildlife. They begin to dry out in the summer, so birds migrate and small animals die off, leaving eggs to hatch when rain arrives again.
Because wetlands are so diverse and can appear almost anywhere around the world, most of these environments have varying temperature ranges. Some of the most common temperature ranges include 58 degrees Fahrenheit, 51 degrees Fahrenheit, and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. However, one of the type of wetlands, called fens, can range anywhere from 50 to 57 degrees Fahrenheit, and this has been proven with measurements. Much like weather and temperature range, precipitation can vary because of the wetlands' varying environments. However, studies have shown that the average rainfall can be anywhere between 1,750 millimeters to 2,000 millimeters.
Wetlands can contain fresh water, salt water, or both. The type of water has a great effect on the types of life that are able to survive there. Bogs and fens always contain fresh water. Marshes and swamps also have fresh water if they're near lakes or rivers. However, marshes and swamps near a coastline contain salt water.
The altitude and depth of the wetlands vary depending on its location throughout the world. They typically have a depth of less than 1 foot. The depth determines what kind of plant and animal communities can be found. There have been wetlands discovered at 3,000 meters above sea level. The plant life are responsible for many things such as water filtration and flood control. The buttonbush is one of the most important plants because it preserves the water quality of the wetlands. There's also the copper iris, which can grow in standing water. The marsh marigold is found along wooded wetlands. The animals of the wetlands vary depending on what kind of water is found. In the saltwater wetlands, there are snapping turtles and crocodiles and alligators. The crocodiles and alligators are the largest animals that are found throughout all of the wetlands. There's also snakes and amphibians. In the freshwater wetlands, there are fish and amphibians and many species of birds, such as the finch and the heron.
Wetland plants live in water, so they are called hydrophytic plants. This includes any plant that has adapted to survive in wetlands. Some plants have hollow stems that deliver oxygen to their roots. Wetland trees have shallow roots, swollen trunks, or roots that grow above ground. Many plants have adapted special pores called parenchyma that allow oxygen to enter the plant and be transported to its roots. Plants that are able to tolerate salt water are called halophytes. They have adapted to reduce, dilute, or remove the salt concentration. Emergent plants, like cattails and reeds, have roots in soil underwater, but grow above water. Floating plants, leaves, and flowers float on the surface, such as duckweed. Submergent plants grow completely underwater, such as seagrass.
As mentioned before, wetlands can be located anywhere around the world. However, the top 10 largest wetlands around the world include Pantanal, Brazil; Camargue, France; Wasser National Park, Indonesia; Kakadu Wetlands, Australia; Kerala Backwaters, India; Okavango, Botswana; Kafue, Zambia; Everglades, USA; Lower Danube and Danube Delta; and Sundarbans, Bangladesh. Here are some additional facts about those wetlands. Pantanal, Brazil is one of the largest and best preserved wetlands in the world. It is very complex and is home to over 658 species of bird, 190 mammals, 50 reptiles, 270 fish species, and 1,132 species of butterflies. Camargue is one of the best places in Europe for birdwatching and contains the greater population of flamingos in Europe. Wasser National Park has incredible biodiversity and a large number of rare species. Kakadu National Park in Australia is very diverse and is about half the size of Switzerland. Kerala Backwaters in India is becoming a popular tourist destination, with several large traditional rice boats now being converted into floating hotels. Okavango, Botswana is Africa's largest and most beautiful oasis that brings in wildlife with its massive watering hole. Kafue, Zambia is extremely important for its sugarcane farming and the production of hydroelectric power. Everglades, USA is one of the world's only flooded grasslands that is rain-fed on limestone. Danube maintains the largest reed bed in the world and attracts the largest colony of pelicans outside of Africa. And finally, Sundarbans, Bangladesh, also translated as beautiful forest, is the largest mangrove forest in the world.
Wetlands are mainly found along the Mississippi River in the southeast around Florida and in the northern states like Minnesota and Wisconsin. They can be found in every continent except Antarctica.
There are several things that are threatening the world's wetlands today. Half of the world's wetlands have disappeared since 1990. One major threat to wetlands is draining. Draining is usually done for commercial development, including tourism facilities or agricultural farmland. Another threat that is derived from the draining is the irresponsible use of fresh water, which is done by the overuse of underground aquifers, because the community is using the supply of water faster than the ground can replenish itself. The result of this is that water levels drop, causing plants and animals to die from lack of critical nutrients. Cities take part in the draining of swamplands for farming land. This is called agricultural drains. Agricultural drains account for 65% of total water withdrawal on Earth. Invasive species have an impact on biodiversity. They make a severe impact on local flora and fauna. Fauna is animal life of any particular region or time, and flora is the corresponding term for plants. An example of this is in Lake Victoria. An introduction to Nile perch pushed many native flower species to extinction. Additional threats to the wetland ecosystem include pollution, climate change, and dams. Pollution is a growing concern that affects our drinking water and its sources, as well as biodiversity. Drainage and runoff introduce chemicals from pesticides and fertilizers into water sources that could be used as drinking water. These chemicals also pose a serious threat to biodiversity among species and their reproduction. Increasing temperatures within these environments are causing ice to melt and sea levels to rise, which in turn can lead to shallow wetlands becoming swamped and some species and trees to be submerged or drown. Yet, at the same time, some wetlands are becoming destroyed through drought. Dams can be seen as a controversial threat. Although in some places dams are needed, they are restricting the flow of water, which can have a negative impact on biodiversity. There are now 40,000 dams worldwide which are altering the natural flow of water and impacting the existing ecosystems. Why are saving wetlands important? First of all, they reduce the severity of hurricanes and other natural storms. Some species that inhabit coastal wetlands, such as reefs, mangroves, and salt marshes, are the frontline defense against potential natural devastation for low-lying areas. Along with this, wetlands are very significant in flood control. Native plants and grasslands act as a sponge, absorbing the rainfall as it comes. When they become too saturated and are unable to absorb any more water, surface pools begin to form. Most of this water is stored underground, which can later be obtained through aquifers. Next, wetlands can act as Earth's natural filters, cleaning up water in a number of ways. For example, nitrogen in water is transformed to harmless nitrogen gas, and nutrients are taken up by wetland plants in the water. Wetlands also remove pollutants such as phosphorus, heavy metals, and toxins, cleaning them from our future drinking water. Wetlands can also provide valuable food sources. Wetlands across Asia, West Africa, and in some parts of the United States provide the valuable staple of rice. Also, sago palm is a plant that grows in wetlands. These palms, mainly from Africa, are used for valuable cooking oils and soap making. Wetlands yield several valuable materials and medicines. Some of these materials include fuel wood for cooking, thatch for roofing, fibers for textiles and paper making, and timber for building. Medicines can be extracted from the bark, leaves, and fruit that the plants provide. Wetlands can be very rich in cultural value. They are very significant in religious, historical, and archaeological value to many cultures around the world. For example, on the Coburg Peninsula, traditional Aboriginal owners still conduct an active ceremonial life and undertake in semi-traditional hunting and gathering. Wetlands also provide several leisure activities. A few of these activities are canoeing, fishing, shell collecting, birdwatching, swimming, and snorkeling. The most important thing that someone can do to help maintain these vital ecosystems is to spread the word, letting people know how important wetlands are to our society and daily life.